We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Show Must Go On line. Today's guest is Morgan Reilly. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am great. Thank you. As a heads up to everyone, my dog Slimbo is somewhere here. Let's see if I can get out of his way. There. Oh. So he might want to come in and out throughout the interview, and that's just a disclaimer I like to share.
Love it.
Do you have any pets over there with you?
I don't have any pets here. I've been trying for the longest time to convince my boyfriend to get a dog, but that'll happen in time. I still got a lot of stuff to do before I can, take care of an animal.
I totally understand that. I feel like this is part theater interview and part talking about how much I love dogs. So that's fair.
I mean, this is the best kind of interview. Dogs are my favorite animal.
Excellent. Me too, indeed. So let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. And what's your origin story? What got you into singing and all of this?
So I was born into a family of DJs. My mom and dad were both DJs. I just learned that my mom was a DJ over the summer, which was kind of a very bizarre, oh, that makes sense moment. But my dad DJ'd up until my brother was born, so up until I was 6 years old. And he raised me on Motown, R&B, smooth jazz, like the music of the 50s and the 60s, rock and roll. And I just fell in love with it from the very first record that I heard. And I started just singing all over the house. And I kind of knew that something was about to happen when I went to my mom's hairdresser, and I would bring this little Fisher-Price boombox with me. And I would sing along to these Disney tapes that I had. And my mom's hairdresser was like, hey, this girl's really good. Like, you should do something. You should take her to acting classes or dance classes or something. And then literally the next day I was scoping out dance studios and doing acting classes and taking as many voice lessons as I could. I was very small, but I kind of got thrown into it and haven't really stopped.
I love that. It's so much fun to hear people talk about there was a moment or something happened and it just clicked. Like other people said, have you thought about this? Because you've really got a talent.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I've been grateful to have a supportive and loving family kind of guide me through my entire journey. Music's always been at my heart and soul, but I grew up doing musical theater. So I spent years of my life telling other people's stories, and I reached a point where I was about 16 or 17 where I was like, I don't know my own story because I've been playing characters my whole life, and I've, dug into their lives, but I have no idea what my story is. And that's when I started taking writing really seriously. I'd been songwriting since I was 10, but really got into it in high school.
Wow. Yeah, that is such an interesting point whenever theater people also then write their own songs and do more of the diva route, or there's totally different ways of expressing yourself through song and acting and performing, or in Slim's case just being a dog and eating right here. He's so cute. Quick side note, you try to get him to eat or go outside right before, and inevitably, no matter what we do, right as the clock strikes 2:00 here, because I'm in Washington State, he's like, oh, this would be a great time to just eat and make noise. So I just thought that was really funny.
Oh gosh, that's so sweet.
He's my little precious limbo. But back to theater and singing.
Yeah.
So, were there any, I saw you perform Defying Gravity on your YouTube channel.
Yes.
And I don't know how old you were there. I don't know what, but it was so good and I needed to talk about it. So tell me about that experience. And I'm going to mute my mic while Slim's eating so everyone can hear you better.
Okay. So I went to Muhlenberg College for theater. I graduated with a BA in theater and a concentration in acting, which has served me really well for songwriting. But my sophomore year, I was, I think, 19. I would go down to the practice rooms in our music building and just hide in there for hours, just writing and singing. And I was with two of my friends, and one of them knew how to play Defying Gravity on piano, but she knew it a half step up from the original key. And I was like, can you play it I think I can do it. I think I can sing that high. And my other friend was like, I'll film it. So Gianna was filming it and Emma was playing it. And I just kind of like went off. And at the time I was very dedicated to my YouTube channel, way back in the day when that was like, you know, the only form of streaming. And I posted it and I was like, my mom and dad all like this. I don't know. And it started like gaining traction, and then it started really blowing up, and it got to the point where like I would go on these auditions for, you know, summer stock programs and meet other people who were going to other colleges for musical theater, and they'd be like, oh my God, your Defying Gravity video, it's so good, oh my God. And I would be like, oh my, you watched that? Like that was just me, you know, being silly in a practice room. But it was really fun. And honestly, Elphaba is one of my dream roles. So if, you know, when Broadway comes back, if they're looking for a very short Elphaba, I got you.
I love that so much. And it also shows that sometimes just doing things for you and like not doing it on the route of like trying to get noticed or whatever, sometimes even is the best way of like showing your true colors and all that. So I think that's also a good thing for young performers to hear, right?
Absolutely. Like I've always performed because I love it and because it's, you know, it's all I know and it's how I express myself. I'm not the best with my words, like as a person. So I put a lot of it into my writing, the stuff that I can't get out, I write about. So I would say that it's more about doing it for you and not doing it for everyone else. Cause like, who cares what everyone else thinks? As long as you're having a good time and you're enjoying yourself, that's the important part.
Yes, cosign all of that. Exactly. I think that's especially right now when you can't do things the normal way and we're not in person and everything's kind of virtual and everyone's trying to figure out their own lane. It's a really important time to do things that make you happy and figure out your own route rather than what you should be doing.
Absolutely.
So talk about the difference between when you are performing like a musical performance versus your own song or like a cabaret.
It's a very specific switch that goes off. Like when I am in theater performance mode, it's like, okay, vocal health, I got to act through this. Like there's a story behind it. I can't just stand there and sing. I'm not going to close my eyes. I'm not going to riff as much. Like this is about, you know, really bringing the text to life and telling the story that, you know, the composer and the lyricist and the book writer brought to life. And to be able to do that is really cool. And it's interesting to be able to turn it on and off. But when I'm singing my own material or I'm singing in a cabaret, it's like, I'm honestly more comfortable because it's my truest self. I can, you know, let go. There aren't really any rules or restrictions. I can riff as much as I want. I always used to get yelled at in like productions in college. They'd be like, you're riffing too much. You need to, this is Rodgers and Hammerstein. Why are you riffing? You know, you can always be like, I thought it called for it. But with my own music, you know, it's like I write the riffs in sometimes. So it's cool to just, you know, be me and then be able to put on the costume, sometimes put on the wig and, you know, go perform a character when I need to do that too.
I love all of your riffs, and it is, you know, it's so true though. If you're playing a character and you're performing someone else's song that they're like, I actually had it imagined this way. And Elphaba is such a good example because
Right.
I've heard throughout the lifespan of Elphaba that they've allowed more riffs kind of recently. And that's a fun evolution. But when it's your own song, like you're your own boss, that's pretty great.
It's a lot of fun. And it's also like when I'm working, you know, with a composer on a song, I've been very fortunate to work with composers that are writing new material and they'll, you know, email me or text me and be like, hey, can you come in and sing on this? I just need to hear it on a voice that's not my own. And I'll be singing through it and I'll be like, hey, do you want how much riffing? Do you want this? Because like I can if you want, but if you don't, like that's totally fine. And they've been very flexible. You know, I have a friend that literally writes out my riffs when I work with him, which is just like warms my heart. But yeah, I just find freedom in that.
Now, I'm very interested to hear your genuinely story.
Oh my gosh. So Genuinely is my most recent single. I signed a production deal with Manuel Seal at the end of last year, and he is one of the founding structures of 90s and early 2000s R&B. He's written and produced for Mariah Carey, Aretha Franklin, Janet Jackson. Like, this man is a genius, and being able to work with him as closely as I'm able to work with him and to call him both a mentor and a friend is just such an honor. And I'm honestly still pinching myself. But we had a studio lock-in at the end of last year going into the new year. And as soon as I got off the plane and got to this recording studio in Virginia, he started playing the guitar loop for Genuinely. And he looked at me and he goes, "What do you got for this?" And I looked right back at him and I was like, "I'm a little too numb for this." And then I whipped out my notebook and wrote the rest of the song in 5 minutes. And we laid down some demo vocals, and then we added harmonies. And then we took a break from it because we cut like 9 other songs in that period of time. But we came back to it at the end, and I was like, I really think this could be like, a single. Like, this could be the single. So why don't we just re-record these vocals, make it perfect? That way you guys can work on it. I don't have to go on a plane. I hate flying, the worst flight anxiety. And we can get this done. And we were able to get it done. We released it in August, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
It is so wonderful to hear. And it just like, I've played it so many times the last few days. It's like a fun thing as I'm getting ready for interviews to like listen to their music. And that song is just, it's so like, and I don't know how else to describe it other than a complete bop and jazz, like kind of chill R&B. And for everyone who hasn't maybe heard it, could now be a good time for us to get a little version.
I think that was a great time. Let me get the track up. It's tricky because I'm actually not at home. I've been in Pennsylvania since the shutdown, but my boyfriend lives in Denver, so I've been spending some time in Denver, in the mountains, in the very thin air, which honestly I love. So we're gonna sing to a track today instead of a keyboard situation. I'm a little too numb for this. I know you think I'm a little too dumb for this. What's in your drink if I'm gonna succumb to this? I'll need something just a little bit stronger than this, yeah. I'm a little too old for this. I know you think I'm a little too cold for this. I'm on the brink. Did I really leave home for this? All I wanna do is go to bed alone. But this hits different than the other nights. You look at me different than the other guys. You talk to me like you wanna know what's on my mind. Keep talking, baby. Keep talking, baby. Tell me what I wanna hear instead of what you wanna say. I'ma up and disappear if you can't come at me genuinely. Hey. I'm a little too tough for this. I know you think I'm a little too rough with this. The way you blink twice when you tell a white lie, leading with your damn pride, claim you're such a nice guy. Jeez. You've been testing my patience, boy, with all the moves you ain't making, boy. You wanna say something, so say it, boy. Just say it, boy. You tell me what I wanna hear instead of what you wanna say. I'ma up and disappear if you can't come at me genuinely. Yeah. And just in case I wasn't clear, you turn me on in every way. But I'ma up and disappear if you can't come at me genuinely. Yeah. Genuinely say genuinely, you tell me what I wanna hear, baby, instead of what you wanna say. I'ma up and disappear if you can't come at me genuinely. And just in case I wasn't clear, you turn me on in every way. Oh, genuinely. Genuinely. That's genuinely.
Yay! Woo, woo, woo. Oh, that was so lovely. Oh, did you even see Slim was like, "Ooh, I need to come back in for this."
So sweet. Thank you, Slim.
Oh, thank you for that. It is your voice is like an angel. It hits these notes. It's so lovely. It's so calming. It's like I could just totally see when things are back to normal or the new whatever normal can be, sitting in like a jazz club and just like jamming out to that.
I would love that so much.
That is so nice. And it sounds like from the story you said of how it was made, it just like it clicked. Like, does that happen a lot when you're writing music, that there's just a vibe and it comes to you?
It happens so much. I have maybe 700 songs under my belt now. I write like 3 to 5 a day. It kind of just throws it out of me. And some of the ones, I just write to get it out, but others like really hit home. You know what I mean? And I have synesthesia. So when I listen to music or write music, I see colors and I associate specific colors with different keys. And when a song starts coming to life, it's like getting hit by a rainbow. And I had that moment, genuinely, I had that moment with a song called Up and Down that we're going to be releasing early next year. I've had that moment with so many songs. I really had it with the song Arizona that I wrote about 3 years ago. That was like the song that I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to top this one. But we keep going and we keep pushing ourselves. And when you find those magical pockets of, oh my gosh, this is very special, something that you got to cling to,
Yeah, I could only imagine. And I love that feeling that it's like a rainbow. What a cool sensation.
It's really fun. It's like, I honestly don't know how else to explain it other than like, it's like putting on a different colored coat every time a different chord hits. So like for me, I associate C with yellow, F is always green, A is always red, A flat's purple. So like when I hear these songs and these keys, it's like, whoa, okay, that's so like orange. Oh my God, it's very weird. It's weird to try to explain, but that's how my brain works.
Wow, that's really neat. I've heard of it before, but I haven't really heard it described like that. And that's a really cool thing. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Yeah. So I feel like we should talk about where we met at Broadway Buskers.
Yes.
What a fun thing. So for anyone who doesn't know Broadway Buskers, it is like the coolest thing that is a truly like only in New York thing, right? You have these artists and musicians just set up in Times Square and they're just singing and busking and it's set up through the Times Square Alliance and you've just got Times Square life. So people walking in and out and the taxis and the lights, and it's just like it was last year. I know this year they did something virtually online, which you have to do something, but last year being in person was just so cool. And being with Joey Contreras, like how did the two of you meet?
We met, where did we meet? We met at the West End Lounge. When I first moved to New York, the first thing that I did was go to the West End and audition for So You Think You Can Belt, which is a singing competition. And I was 23, somewhere around there. And I had made it to the finals, and Natalie Weiss was one of the judges, and I've looked up to her for years, like her Breaking Down the Riff videos. I swear by, if you haven't checked them out, you need to. They will revolutionize what you do with your voice. They revolutionize what I do with mine. And Joey was one of the judges in the finale, and I had actually sung his music in college. I was in a contemporary musical theater group called Song Cycle, and one year we did a Joey Contreras themed song cycle, and I was like, oh my God, he's right there. And I had like a little, like I was kind of starstruck. And we stayed in touch, and he's worked with me on just so many wonderful projects. And he reached out to me and was like, hey, do you want to sing that song that you sang with Natalie at Rockwood that one time in Times Square? And I was like, you want me to do what now? Where, with who? And I was like, yes, like, absolutely. Like, I love Joey's music. Working with him is such a dream. He's just fantastic. He's so supportive. He, gives you the liberties to make ridiculous choices. I was able to like riff all over it. And riffing with the queen of riffs, Natalie Weiss, was, you know, bucket list moment in Times Square, like with Joey on the piano. I was so honored. It was, I like look back on the video and kind of pinch myself. That was easily the coolest thing I've ever done in the city.
That was so much fun. I feel like last year I was introduced to so many new artists and like group of artists. So like the Joey Contreras and friends, and like Joe Iconis and Rob Rokiki, and you know, like everyone kind of has their like squad with them. And when I got to your performances, I was like, okay, I need to get to know who these people are. Their voices are beautiful, and I have listened to Break from the Line so many times. Like, it's one of my favorite parts probably of being a reporter and like videographer is that I get to just like go back and I'm watching my own videos and I'm like, this is absurd that this is my job.
Oh, that's so cool.
You make it cool, right? Like it's amazing that just like getting to film all these different events and performances. And yeah, I can't wait for Broadway buskers to come back in full form. And I mean, Broadway and performances in general, because there is that like live musical and concert element that you can't get virtually. But have you been doing anything during this time of quarantine that's kind of helped supplement that?
I've been doing what I can. I think the hardest part about the shutdown, well, actually, it was twofold. Broadway shut down on my 27th birthday. So I literally woke up and I was like, oh, okay. And then the next day I was packing up my apartment. My lease was up at the end of March anyway. So I was like, better safe than sorry. And then my entire family got COVID. So we kind of got slammed. March was not a fun month. And I had been working, 3 jobs at the time, and many of them were through these gigs. I was doing 6 shows a week sometimes, and finding a way to fill that void, that performing live, just, I don't even have the words for it. It's such a special feeling being on stage, and to have that taken away, as I'm sure, you and so many other artists can relate, it's heartbreaking. It guts you. But one of the ways that I supplemented it was doing a live stream on Sundays. I used to work at a restaurant in Astoria that unfortunately closed down. But every Sunday I had a residency there, and I would play brunches. And I kind of wanted to bring that back. So I started doing a show every Sunday at, I think it was 1 or noon. It was so long ago. Quarantine feels like it's been 5 years. It was called Sunday Brunch, and I would bring on special guests, and I would just sing a bunch of songs. People would ask for requests. I was able to make some money, but toward the end, I started donating the money to causes that needed it more than I did. And I'm just very grateful that we have these resources that we can give back to communities that need it, and we're still able to fulfill our artistic voids.
That
Artistic.
What a journey.
Such a journey. March was weird.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope your whole family is okay now.
We're all good. I think the biggest takeaway from my experience with that is that if you think it's just allergies, it might not be just allergies, because I did like one of those virtual phone calls. At the time, testing was like super, super limited because it was so new. And the doctor was like, I think you just have allergies. And I was like, I can't taste or smell anything, sir. And eventually, we got our antibody tests and they came back positive. And I was like, that explains everything. And fortunately, my family and I were all able to kick it. Some of us haven't been so lucky. It's a very unfortunate thing, but it's not anything to be taken lightly. Like, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't stand up. It's terrifying. You don't want to risk it. Wear your masks, stay socially distant, like do the right thing. You don't want to go through that.
No. Wow. I could only imagine how scary that must have been, especially having so many people. Like, it must be tough in the families where one person gets it, and then it's like, well, do we have to isolate from that one person? But like, I guess on the one side, it's nice that everyone could still be together because you couldn't infect, but it's still scary. I don't know. It's just Such a bad situation altogether. But yes, definitely the masks. I actually just got this new Hadestown mask that I love.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's, you can still have your taste of Broadway while supporting. And it's also kind of like a fun new, design element when you're going out.
Absolutely. I try to coordinate my masks with my outfits. I have one, my family's very Irish, so I have one with like a bunch of Irish flags on it that I wear sometimes. I have a blue one that I wear religiously. I have to make sure I keep washing it because it is my favorite mask. It's the one that I like to travel with when I have to travel. It's the one that I fly with because you can I don't know, it's just lovely. It's lovely to breathe through.
And that is the most important thing.
Because some of them, you never know. It could be too thick or too thin, or you're allergic to it. I'm allergic to a lot of fabric. So it kind of depends on the mask. So I have to be very careful. But the ones that I have, I swear by.
Yeah. And a good point about washing it. I feel like people don't always realize that just like anything and you're putting it on your face, you should probably make sure it's clean.
Exactly. Just take some detergent, put it in some hot water, scrub it a little bit, let it air dry, or you can throw it in your washer dryer if you have one of those, or hair dryer even. Do once a week and you're fine.
Excellent. These interviews, it's like tips and tricks for also staying alive, which is super important these days.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you mentioned that, you towards the end of the series that you would start donating to nonprofits and charities. And would you like to shout any of those out now?
Oh my goodness. What was the one that I loved donating to? The Black Trans Travel Fund. That was, I think, hands down the most vocal organization that I worked with, the kindest organization. They have such a great cause going on. And when I, saw through my Instagram stories, because social media is, my life, I was like, oh, this is a fantastic cause. Why don't we all contribute or, to the best of our ability? And the ACLU has a lot of different, programs that they do under their wing as well. I just think that it's really important that we give back because, the world is on fire in so many different directions. And I think one of the biggest ways that we can give back is to literally give back, but also keep spreading the word and, try to come together as a nation to the best of our ability. I know that's kind of impossible to do, but little steps.
Yeah, little steps indeed. And now is a good time to remind everyone to vote.
Please vote. Please, 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 please. I am from Pennsylvania. We are a swing state. It's crazy how many people in my state are I could go on and on about it, but please have a voting plan, especially if you're in a swing state like mine. If you want to talk about it, I will be more than happy to talk to you about it. If you need a ride to the polls and you're in Allentown and you are, COVID negative, I will be more than happy to help. You got to get out there and do the thing. It's our civic duty. And right now it's crucial that we go out there and make our voices heard because we can't keep things on the same trajectory that they're going. We have to call for some kind of change.
100%. And, we're always talking about voting and artists, and we need leaders who believe in our artists and who support our artists, especially now. I mean, just think about we're doing this series and I'm listening to your music, and then there's Netflix and there are books and there are podcasts, and, artists and performers come in so many different ways that we need to be supporting all of our artists right now more than ever. And we need a government who supports that, who supports Black lives, Black trans lives, all of these things that shouldn't have to be said, but do because they're not being done. This is our time to really take care of one another.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it is. It has certainly been an interesting thing over the last few months. Like you've said, quarantine has felt like the last 5 years.
Truly. I feel like I've aged a decade, and I feel like I've shed maybe 12 different skins. I've dyed my hair every color under the rainbow since we've been in lockdown. Just to have something to do. But I also, started dating my boyfriend during the pandemic. So good things are happening.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I'm from New York, but currently I'm in Washington State.
Nice.
And I'm at my boyfriend's place with our amazing dog, as you've seen throughout this conversation. That is like the one really positive thing, is getting to spend so much time out here. And it's such an interesting thing, because everyone's like, do you miss New York? And I'm like, I miss the New York that doesn't exist right now, but will hopefully, New York will come back better than ever. Maybe, I don't know. It's I try to keep it positive, but do you feel the same way, that since performing live isn't necessarily a thing that you can do, I've seen there are some really great new things that are coming up and that are like socially distanced performances. But now that you can perform anywhere virtually, you get to be wherever you want to be at this time.
Right. I honestly miss the people more than I do the city itself. I had a very interesting relationship with New York, very love-hate relationship. I love my community. I love the artistic family that I found in my 5 years there. I don't necessarily love living there. I've had some experiences, that were not so great with, bugs and mice and just, then the city itself, but I do miss performing there so much. And I was actually fortunate enough last month to do a live show at Club Groove. They had a socially distant outdoor setup. We performed inside, me and my band, and they had like a little red, like one of those like things that they have in the theater, like before they let you into a concert or something. They had that separating me from the crowd. Everyone was wearing their masks. Everyone was staying socially distant. And I got to sing for them for 3 hours. And it was just like, it was the most incredible thing. But it had gotten rained out the first time we tried to do it. So I was able to live stream that version of the show from my friend Eddie's apartment. And like, we all made sure that we were maintaining our distance, that we, didn't have any germs that we would pass on to each other. And they killed it. And I'm very grateful that we still get to work together and, keep the music alive at a time that I honestly didn't know when we were going to again.
Oh, that must have been so special for you and the band, and then everyone who got to be there and see it. You're right. I mean, New York is New York, and there are things that only live in New York, but also sometimes those living arrangements are not to be desired.
True. Oh my goodness. I do miss getting woken up by construction and horns. I don't know why I miss that. I think I've been living in the woods of Pennsylvania too long, but it's like, God, I wouldn't give to just have a screaming man wake me up at 9 in the morning.
Right. The New York sounds that when you live there for a while, like you don't even hear them, because they're just part of, like, you wouldn't sleep otherwise. If you can't sleep through the ambulance going through your neighborhood, then you're probably not going to ever sleep, sadly enough. But then when you're out here, if you hear it, you're like, oh, this is so different. I'm not used to it.
It's like an oddly soothing white noise when you're in the city, but like I'm in another major city, like Denver can be pretty loud too, but my boyfriend's apartment's pretty high up. So when we do hear sirens, it's like, what's going on?
Right.
What's on fire?
It's such a different thing. I miss all of those like little New York moments where you like are walking by and you like randomly run into someone that you weren't expecting to.
That happened to me the last time I was in the city. I ran into one of my friends at the bus station and I was like, what?
Oh, that sounds so nice. Yeah. So have you found any fun new either traditions or games or food things that you've done during quarantine that are actually like a nice pleasant addition to your life now?
I actually have. I was really into baking in high school. Like I had a cupcake book that I would just like cycle through, and each week I'd make my family different cupcakes, and it got to the point where they were like, Morgan, you got to stop making the cupcakes. We can't eat all these. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do brownies, and, got super into it. And being back at home and having access to, so basically unlimited baking supplies. My mom is a fantastic cook, but she also knows how to bake. So I have dove back into the world of baking from scratch and finding new recipes. I learned how to make macaroons for the first time. That was pretty cool. My parents had their 30th wedding anniversary last month, so I made them 2 like little cakes and then 10 cupcakes to represent the 30 years. So it's been cool to be able to, spend time doing that and get back into fitness as well. I was a personal trainer for a little while when I was in New York, and I ran the marathon in 2016. So like fitness is my biggest passion next to music. And it's been really, honestly, a blessing to have the time to focus on that again and really, find that release. It's an escape. I just put my headphones in and disconnect from everything else.
It must be good that you love baking and fitness. I feel
it works itself out the best way.
Yeah, I actually just got a yoga mat, and
Yes.
which is great. I had one in New York, and it's one of those funny things that like at the beginning of quarantine, I was like, I should get this. And then I never did. And then finally I was on Society 6 and it was like, support artists and get a yoga mat. And I was like, you know what? I can get an artist designed yoga mat. And I put it right over here. And just as I anticipated, Slim was like, oh, thank you for my new bed mat.
Oh my God.
So I have to figure out a way that people can do yoga while also having pets who want that space, because that's a very interesting predicament.
It's like goat yoga, but with dogs or cats. It can be done. It can be done.
That's a great point. I should just look up goat yoga and then be like, in parentheses, dog.
Substitute dog for goat. I love it.
Thank you for these great inspirations. Now I feel like I have a good, clear path forward.
I got you. Anytime.
Yeah, baking sounds so lovely. We actually, this is like, it feels like a cabin in the woods. We don't even have like an oven. So we've been finding new ways of like making things on a stovetop that, would be ideal in an oven, but like, you can find, and I did just find these like new pumpkin cookie recipe thing from Trader Joe's that I'm like, I'm going to figure out a way to do this.
Yes. Pumpkin anything. That's my weakness.
Right. I was wondering how well they would show up on the video, but not so great. Right on top of my like little rainbow flower thing, I put 2 pumpkins and they
Oh my God, I see them now. I thought they were part of the flower thing, but yes.
I love pumpkins.
I do.
Aren't they so happy?
They're so joyous and festive.
Speaking of pumpkins, do you have any fun Halloween plans?
As of right now, I'm waiting to hear back. I am supposed to be singing at a venue, but we're still figuring it out. So if that works out and everything can be done safely, yes. If not, I'm honestly just gonna chill here. I have a couple of friends and I have some family in Denver, but I'm trying to do everything safely, because I do have to fly back to Pennsylvania at some point, and I don't want to get my family sick. They own a restaurant, so they need to stay healthy 24/7 because, they got to show up and take care of the business, and I don't want to get in the way of that. So I might just put on a pair of cat ears and eat some popcorn and watch The Addams Family or something. I don't know. Halloween's weird this year.
Wait, honestly, that sounds amazing. I was thinking of maybe like a Rocky Horror Picture Show kind of evening.
Ooh, yes.
I think I could be, and like, sometimes just being in your comfy clothes with like a little bit of dress up, that's also pretty ideal.
Truly. Like that's my kind of Halloween. I love putting a costume on, but like after 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, can I go home and eat candy now?
Yeah, exactly. And now you can bake your own baked goods and have like a really good candy type of Halloween thing.
Oh, you just gave me the best idea. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
You're welcome. You helped me with the dog goat yoga. I help you with the
Perfect.
Excellent. Anything can happen on this series. So for any, younger artists who might be tuning in, sometimes people watch this now or later, and I also just turned this into a bwaySHO, the podcast, which is pretty exciting. Yes. And, a lot of younger people tend to listen to the podcast as they're like walking around. And I feel like a lot of times they just want to know, like, what are some like words of wisdom or things that maybe you wish you could tell yourself from 10 years ago?
I think the biggest piece of advice that I can give is trust your gut and believe that you are good enough. And also don't try to fit in anyone else's mold. I can't tell you the number of times, especially going to college for theater, that people have tried to tell me to look a certain way or sing a certain way or act a certain way or hold myself and poise myself in a certain way. And you don't have to do that. So many, programs try to force you into that cookie cutter mindset, and you don't have to abide by those rules. As long as you are happy and you feel like you are doing the best that you possibly can, then you have to fight for that and stick to that and trust yourself, because you are good enough. You can do anything you set your mind to, but you have to believe that you can do that, because no one's going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself.
Ooh, Morgan, I needed to hear that. It's so true. I mean, especially, I know I keep saying like, especially now, but it is true. Like, it's so easy to feel imposter syndrome because so many things are happening and other people are hosting events and other people are singing and you can see this person on TikTok and, like there are so many ways. But then on the flip side, you can see that and be like, oh, well, if anyone can do that, that means I can do that. And if anyone can do that, then maybe people want to see different things and people want to see me be the person that I'm meant to be. And I love, love, love exactly what you're saying, because the world needs you the way that you are. And there's nobody like you. And if you keep trying to fit someone else's mold, then the world is missing out on a really unique you.
Exactly. Like, you're cool. You are so cool. I wish I could tell myself that 10 years ago. Like, girl, you are so cool. Like, own it. You don't have to wear the jeans with the holes in them because your friends are. You can just show up in leggings and a sweatshirt and still like rock it. I can't tell you the number of shows that I've done in sweatpants and a swimsuit top. Like, I'm known for swimsuits as gig attire because like that's what I'm most comfortable in. And you got to find your thing that you're most comfortable in, whether it's a dress or a 3-piece suit or a onesie, whatever is the best expression of you.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I mean, it's so funny. I've been seeing Time Hop come up on my Facebook a lot, and I've been a little more nostalgic than usual. And I've just been seeing, like, even right now, it's funny, you can't see it because of the microphone, but I'm wearing, let's see, can you see? I'm wearing a Wonder Woman shirt.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Thank you. And I love superheroes and I love comics. And I found that there's a fun way of like combining my love for comics and getting fun shirts like this that are like still professional, but they express a little bit more me. And it's that's so important, because if we can't find like little joys in what you wear or your makeup or your jewelry, right? There are like little joys that you can find everywhere, and we could use all the little joys in the world.
Especially right now.
Especially right now. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so we spoke about baking and performing and goat yoga and there, just all the little things. Is there anything you came into today's conversation that you kind of wanted to make sure to share directly to your fans?
Oh my gosh. I think the biggest thing I want to share right now is just to be patient with me, because we have a lot of really exciting things that my team and I have been working on pretty much nonstop. Can't talk about them yet, but there are really exciting things on the way. I know I haven't been releasing as much music as I have in years past. I haven't been as active in performance mode as I have in years past, but there is a method to it. There is a plan behind it. Just trust the process. And I promise you, exciting new music is coming. Exciting new things are coming. We have a music video video on the way. A lot of new songs. We have an album that's going to come out next year that we've been working on, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys, but it's all going to happen in time. So please be patient with me. And I promise the outcome will be worth the wait.
Yes. Well, we'll just have to wait for it. It'll be worth it.
I think so. I think you guys will really like it.
Yeah. And, just from like the fans' perspective, I think most people are like pretty understanding right now that we're in COVID times and life just is moving at a different pace.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also, we all want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself because that is priority number one.
It truly is. It truly, truly is. Like, if you can't take care of yourself, no one else is going to take care of you. Now is the time. Now is the time to like take your vitamins, make sure that you're drinking water. I have, this cute little water bottle I got at Target. I fill it up a whole bunch a day. You have a unicorn water bottle. Oh, that's so cool.
Also from Target.
We love a good Target run. But yeah, honestly, stay hydrated. Stick up for yourself, stick to your guns. It can be, a lot of conflict, I'm sure, is arising, especially right now in such a crucial election year. Trust your heart, trust your gut. Don't let your Aunt Janet try to bring you down this Thanksgiving. Right. Just, be you. Be your best.
Yes. Sorry, there's that's the whole internet thing. Like, oh no, I'm talking when you're talking. But it's so, oh my gosh, November. It's just so crazy. Like you said, that this all started in March and now we're in October and the election's already really upon us because I already sent in my mail-in vote and that is exciting. And also just a quick second note about mailing in your vote, that if you're going to vote by mail, make sure to do that like ASAP because you got to account for the postal service taking delays. And sometimes, we've been reading that you have to correct something on your ballot if you didn't sign and date it properly or any sort of reason. This is not like the time to just be like, oh, let me wait till November 1st. Like, do it today.
Yeah, this is the time. The election is now. It's not in, 14 days, 13 days? It's now. It's happening right now. Send in your ballots if you're out of state. I'm literally flying home to vote in person because got to get it done. And yeah, just do the thing. It's so important.
So important. And thank you for voting, especially in such a prime place. Like voting in New York can sometimes feel like, does it really matter? But it does. And especially if you're in a place like Pennsylvania or Wisconsin or Wyoming or Florida or Virginia, there are just so many places. But even if you're in a place like California or Texas, like if you think that the voting is going to go one way, it's also not just about the president, which we definitely need to change things on, but it's also about down the ballot. You'll notice you're, circling a bunch of different people. So make sure you're voting for like the whole group of people.
And do your research. It's super important right now to know who you're voting for, what, their plans are, what their goals are. And, so that you're not just filling in bubbles next to names that look nice, Make sure to do the research. I'm taking the time to do it on my end. One of my friends' parents is actually on our ballot this year, and it's cool to see her doing the thing. She is blue, which makes me very happy. And yeah, just do your research.
That's amazing. Congratulations to her because that's a huge step in doing her civic duty.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can do your civic duty by voting. Okay, enough of that. But yeah, it is fun to like do your research and feel like you're actually involved. I feel like a lot of like young people are especially getting involved with that now. And like, even like on TikTok, which is just such a funny thing to think that can like really be affecting. But like people are finding new ways to get involved and be up to date on politics and the world. And hey, if musical theater can also help you stay up to date on what's important, then that's great.
I love the Broadway for Biden channel. I think it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite things on TikTok. And I'm scrolling through it and I see so many of my friends in the world of Broadway and the world of New York performance just involved so heavily in it. And it's so cool to see people that support the arts reaching out and, convincing Gen Zers and millennials and even boomers to vote, doing it in such a creative and musical way.
Yeah. So very true. So, where can everyone find you on social media, and any last things you'd like to add?
You can find me on social media pretty universally under the handle I am Reilly. I am Morgan, Reilly. It's easy to remember because it rhymes. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok. TikTok is very new. I'm still figuring it out. I'm also on an app called bwaySHO, which is a really cool, it's like TikTok for artists, songwriters, and producers and musicians. It's like music TikTok, and that's a lot of fun. If you're on bwaySHO, you can find me there. I think those are all of the apps. I do have a Facebook page. It's just my name. I have blonde hair in the picture on there. We got to update it. But other than that, you can find my music on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, Tidal, pretty much anywhere you can find music. Make sure to follow me on Spotify if you haven't already. It really helps with the whole algorithm and all that good stuff. Keep streaming Genuinely, keep streaming my other singles, and we will have new music coming out to you guys super, super, super soon.
Yay, so fun. There are so many different ways, and I'm glad that you added the plug about following you on Spotify, because people don't realize following on that or on YouTube or on when you have a podcast like bwaySHO the podcast. It really does make a difference, and some people are like, "Oh, I didn't know. Thank you for sharing." So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Of course.
And y'all can find me at bwaySHO. That's bwaySHO, as you see here from my wonderful Chelsea Hill designed logo, which is very exciting. And what else? So we have, if you like what you're seeing and hearing, you can also become a Showtreon. That's the bwaySHO Patreons. It's a fun squad. We do weekly trivia and we do monthly video chats, and we're having a Halloween party coming up. So fun time all around.
Amazing.
Well, on that note, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and chat and sing and just share all of your wisdom.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun.
Yay. And thank y'all for watching. I'm so glad to see y'all here. And if you're watching in the future, hello, future people.
Hello.
Hello. Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your day. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you at the show. Bye, y'all.
Bye.